Hi, I'm Joe Walensky. I'm the program manager for ConveyUX, which is Seattle's annual user experience conference, and it is coming up for the seventh time, March 11th, 12th, and 13th. And one of the fun things I get to do is talk to our many speakers. And today I am talking with Crystal Yan. Hello, Crystal. How are you?
Good.
It's good to have you in the program. I'm speaking from the Seattle offices of BlinkUX, which produces ConveyUX. Where are you talking to us from?
I am here from Washington, D.C., where I work at the headquarters of the U.S. Digital Service. We're located in Washington, D.C. because most of the federal government is located here, and we like to go where the work is.
Well, it's great to have you in the program, as I said, and also it's very, I think a lot of interest in terms of the types of things that you're doing at the Digital Service. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your background and the nature of your work?
Sure. So my background is originally as a generalist UX researcher and designer. I joined the U.S. Digital Service a little over a year ago, and I was really interested by their mission to apply human-centered design and technology to improve the way the federal government delivers services to the public. And since I've joined, I have had the opportunity to work with two different agencies. I've worked with the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which is part of the Department of Health and Human Services, on thinking about how design can be applied to create more human-centered healthcare policy. And I've also had a chance to work with the Refugee, Asylum, and International Operations Division of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services to think about how to apply content design and service design to deliver better services to asylum seekers.
Well, for people that may not be familiar with that governmental organization, I want you to tell us just maybe a little bit more about that mission and some of the other things that go on.
Yeah, sure. So the U.S. Digital Service is kind of a startup within the federal government. We're fairly new. We started about 4 years ago, and it was actually driven in part by the healthcare.gov crisis. And I think the chief technology officer at the time and the president at the time thought, well, what if instead of having technologists come in at the last minute to say something after it's already become a crisis, what if they were embedded in the delivery of a digital service from the very beginning? And we recruit people often from the private sector, often from technology companies, though we're also recruiting people across various innovation teams in government. And we bring them on for 2-year tours of duties, although some people can come for 3 months, some people can renew and end up serving for 4 years. And what we try to do is engage with an agency from the very top of the agency to the ground floor. And we try to figure out what kind of miscommunication might be happening across the different levels of bureaucracy and try to make sure that technical voices are in the room when technical decisions are being made, and figure out if someone knows a problem that might be coming up soon, if there's anything we can do to address it. And I think more recently we've had a chance to do a lot more proactive work, not only reactive work, and that includes some of our work with trying to have design and design research be a part of the conversation when it comes to thinking about different policy decisions.
Well, it sounds like a really interesting and different type of organization to be part of. The topic that you're going to be presenting is related to some of the work that's going on there. So we could talk about that a little bit. The title is Scaling Impact in Public Sector Design. So why don't you talk a little bit about how you came around to that topic and what types of things we can expect to hear from you?
Sure. So I like to really stay involved in the design community, and I found that when I went to a couple of different community events, either here in my city or at regional conferences, I met a lot of other designers who were pretty interested in social impact work, whether that meant working in a government agency or working with a nonprofit. And I often got a lot of questions around, well, like if you're often or likely the only designer, how do you make sure people actually understand what design is in government? How do you make sure they understand that design means not just how something looks, but also how it works? And how do you make sure that people people, when they're encountering a design problem, but they don't yet realize it's a design problem, that that you can partner with them and they realize that you have some of the skills that might be relevant to addressing that problem. And as I got a lot of these questions, I also started thinking about some of the skills that I've developed that I think I developed that are pretty unique to working in the public sector since I started working at USDS, and how I might be able to tell people who are working in traditional technology companies, if you're interested in developing more of these skills, maybe joining the U.S. Digital Service or joining some kind of public interest organization could be a good next move for you. And so I wanted to develop a lot of those different stories and lessons learned into a talk that covered not only what it takes to try to scale the impact of design in the public sector, but also what are the specific skills that designers can develop today that might help them as they do more public interest work.
Well, I think this is a great opportunity for us to learn from you, from your experiences in this somewhat unique and new startup area. And we look forward to having you travel here to Seattle and joining us in March.
Yeah, me too.